Neanderthals might sound like that other cousin in the human family tree we never got to meet. But let me tell you something wild. They once roamed this planet alongside modern humans. Seriously, can you imagine strolling through prehistoric Europe and running into a group of people who look kinda human, yet distinctly different? And here's the crazy part. If you're not purely of African descent, odds are you carry a small percentage of Neanderthal DNA right now. That's right, we're practically distant relatives, sharing a family story that stretches back tens of thousands of years. Did you know scientists first discovered Neanderthal fossils in the mid-19th century? And originally thought they were just diseased Homo sapiens? These big-browed skulls confused researchers for a while. Then, a realization hit that they were dealing with a completely different human species. Imagine finding out your family had an entire secret branch nobody mentioned. And guess what else might blow your mind? So-called primitive Neanderthals actually had larger brains on average than we do now. Wild, right? But here's a twist. Bigger doesn't necessarily mean smarter in all the ways that matter. We'll get to that. Before we do, Neanderthals weren't just aimlessly grunting and clubbing each other. They had culture. Yes, actual culture. They crafted sophisticated stone tools and maybe even made art. Makes you wonder what else they were capable of, doesn't it? But first, let's rewind a bit to see how they arrived on the scene, and then how they ultimately disappeared. Picture the world 500,000 years ago. Our mutual ancestors, Heidelberg man, Homo heidelbergensis, were mostly chilling in Africa. Some groups decided to head north, maybe following migrating herds or seeking cooler climates, and they just kept going. Over countless generations, they branched out into Europe and Asia, evolving into different groups. Neanderthals in Europe, Denisovans in parts of Asia, and our direct lineage back in Africa that eventually became Homo sapiens. It's like a massive family road trip where different cars went their own ways, ending up in totally different destinations. But here's the fun twist. These groups didn't stay neatly separated forever. Whenever they crossed paths, they swapped more than just stories. They swapped genes. That's right, we're talking about interbreeding events proven by modern genetic studies. Think of it as a big family reunion with distant cousins meeting for the first time. Next thing you know, new kids appear, sporting a mix of genetic traits. This is why some of us have Neanderthal or Denisovan DNA. It's living proof that ancient humans weren't as isolated as we once thought. Now here's another jolt of dopamine. These migrating populations adapted to their environments in all kinds of crazy ways. Neanderthals got super robust, built for colder climates with thick bones and shorter limbs. Meanwhile, our African ancestors developed traits for hotter climates. By the time Homo sapiens left Africa en masse, they ran headfirst into these cousins who had totally different tool-making skills and hunting tactics. So, what happens when different human species collide? We tend to imagine epic battles over territory, right? And conflicts probably happened because survival in the Ice Age was no picnic. However, modern genetics has thrown a huge curveball into our assumptions. Not only might there have been conflicts, but there was definitely some serious mingling. We're talking multiple rounds of interbreeding over thousands of years. Hello, actual evidence of ancient hookups. Yet let's not paint a rosy picture of a peaceful cohabitation. Life back then was brutal. Wild animals, scarce resources, harsh climates. So the big question is, did Homo sapiens outcompete Neanderthals through raw brain power? Or was it more about blending in and absorbing them? We still don't fully know, but it might be a combo of both. Maybe in certain regions, the two groups integrated slowly. In others, they fought tooth and nail for the prime hunting spots. Recent archaeological findings show that Neanderthals had symbolic or artistic behaviors. For instance, they may have used pigments to color shells or even decorated cave walls. Another possibility is that Neanderthals performed funerary rituals or had a concept of an afterlife. That flips our entire view of them. Far from simple brutes, they likely had complex social structures and maybe even a spiritual side. You might be thinking, if Neanderthals had bigger brains, why did we survive and they didn't? Great question. Brain size is only one puzzle piece. It's how that brain is wired that truly matters. While Neanderthals might have had larger occipital lobes for enhanced vision, super handy for spotting prey across icy terrain, modern humans have more expanded frontal regions, associated with sophisticated language and complex thought. Here's where it gets juicy. The capacity for advanced language might have given Homo sapiens an edge in teaching and coordinating. If you can verbally explain how to craft a more efficient spear or set a clever trap, you turbocharge your group's survival odds. Meanwhile, if Neanderthals relied more on non-verbal communication, they might have struggled to keep pace with rapidly evolving methods. Over time, that communication gap could become enormous, especially in a high-stakes environment where adaptation speed is everything. But wait, another surprise. Researchers suspect Neanderthals also had some form of speech. They possessed a hyoid bone, shaped similarly to ours, suggesting they could produce a range of vocal sounds. They weren't mutes grunting in a corner. The difference might be that Homo sapiens used language more efficiently, or organized in larger networks, passing down knowledge to bigger groups. And remember, a small population is more vulnerable to losing essential skills if key members die. So, it's not that Neanderthals lacked intelligence. They might have just been at a disadvantage when everything was changing around them at lightning speed. Let's get to the heart of the matter. How did Neanderthals actually disappear? Another jolt for you. There's no one single reason. It was probably a perfect storm of factors. Climate changes in Europe made their big game hunts tougher, especially if they were specialized in hunting mammoths and other large animals. Meanwhile, Homo sapiens might have introduced diseases against which Neanderthals had zero defenses. Then, of course, there was competition for resources. Two species that hunt the same prey can't peacefully coexist forever, especially under harsh conditions. But here's a big reveal. Homo sapiens likely reproduced faster. Studies suggest modern humans had shorter birth intervals, so population numbers bounced back quickly after environmental disasters or conflicts. Now picture a Neanderthal clan in the same harsh winter. Fewer babies, slower population growth, and scattered groups across huge territories. Throw in some deadly pathogens, and the odds just keep stacking up against them. One more curveball. People sometimes propose that Homo sapiens waged outright war on Neanderthals, driving them to extinction. The fossil record shows limited direct evidence of mass genocide, though we can't rule out smaller-scale violence. Let's be real. Humans can get pretty hostile when resources are scarce. Maybe it was a slow, grinding decline, with occasional flare-ups that sealed the deal. Regardless, all these puzzle pieces fit together in a tangled mosaic that spelled the end for Neanderthals as a distinct population. But hold tight, they still live on in our genes, a silent legacy that keeps popping up in modern DNA analyses. If you thought hooking up with Neanderthals was just some random historical footnote, think again. Some genes we got from them might have boosted our immune systems, made our skin or hair more adaptable to different climates, or even influenced our metabolic rates. Ever wonder why certain people handle cold weather like it's no big deal? Part of that might trace back to these ancient trysts. There's also a growing body of research on how Neanderthal DNA could tie into psychological or neurological traits in modern humans. Crazy, right? Basically, mixing with another human species might have given us evolutionary power-ups. Of course, it's a double-edged sword. Some borrowed genes might increase susceptibility to autoimmune conditions. Evolution is always about trade-offs. The enduring presence of these Neanderthal influences in modern populations highlights just how messy and intricate our shared history really is. You could literally have 50,000-year-old romance stories swirling around in your bloodstream. Here's the big question. If interbreeding was so beneficial for Homo sapiens, why didn't Neanderthals persist through us? Well, in a way they did. Part of their DNA flows in us, but they didn't remain a separate species because their core population ultimately vanished. To be recognized as a distinct group, you need a stable breeding population. Eventually, their numbers dwindled, and Homo sapiens just kept expanding, absorbing whatever was left. Talk about a bittersweet ending for a species so much like us, yet uniquely different. Ever wonder what the world would look like if Neanderthals never went extinct? Would they have their own cities, languages, social media influencers? Seriously, imagine a Neanderthal influencer posting viral clips on advanced stone napping or paleo diet cooking tips. because they sort of invented it. We share the planet now with chimpanzees, bonobos, and countless other primates, but none of them are as cognitively close to us as Neanderthals likely were. A modern Neanderthal population would spark epic ethical debates about culture, rights, and identity. Some folks claim they see Neanderthal features in modern humans: heavy brow ridges, strong jawlines, especially stocky builds. Of course, that doesn't make someone an actual Neanderthal, but it does hint at how that ancient DNA might still shape our appearance. It's proof that their genetic echo resonates through the centuries. And if you think about it, maybe that's how we spread across the globe so effectively. We borrowed crucial survival traits, like certain immune system strengths or adaptability to colder regions, from them. Now try this idea on for size. If Neanderthals had survived as a separate group, we might have a parallel version of humanity today. That's not science fiction so much as a real possibility if history had taken a slightly different turn. Honestly, it's a fascinating what-if scenario. Just picture a modern Earth with two or more distinct human species coexisting, each with unique cultures and technological paths. It would be an anthropologist's ultimate fantasy. After all this talk, you might be feeling a curious blend of awe and disbelief. How can an entire species that was so similar to us just vanish? The truth is, extinction can be painfully slow and subtle, especially if multiple stress factors keep piling up. Climate shifts, disease, competition, you name it. We might joke about survival of the fittest, but if there's one takeaway, it's that fit can be defined in a bunch of ways. Neanderthals were tough, maybe even more physically rugged than us, but we had a knack for rapid adaptation and cultural exchange that was second to none. Still, don't forget they left an imprint that hasn't fully faded. We see traces of their DNA in ourselves, their possible artworks on cave walls, and their tools scattered across archaeological sites. It's almost poetic, but let's keep it real. It also serves as a huge reminder of how vulnerable a species can be if it fails to keep up with changing environments and competitors. What happened to Neanderthals could happen to us too. That's a sobering thought for anyone who believes humanity is invincible. Now, here's your final hit. The next time you look in the mirror, maybe give a quick nod to your distant Neanderthal ancestors, because some of them quite literally live on in you, shaping traits you don't even realize you have. They walked this earth for hundreds of thousands of years, surviving ice age challenges and massive predators, only to fade when the world shifted beneath their feet. As modern humans, we owe them an enormous debt, both genetically and historically, for reminding us that survival isn't guaranteed. No matter how big your brain is or how advanced your gadgets are, adaptability is the name of the game. So there you have it. The saga of Neanderthals is also the saga of us, our shared roots, our tangled destinies, and a glimpse into what it means to be human. Because in the end, maybe the difference between thriving and going extinct hinges on factors we can't always control. If that doesn't make you appreciate every breath you take, I don't know what will. Remember, we once walked side by side with another species of human. We made friends, maybe made enemies, and definitely made babies. Now it's just us, carrying their legacy forward. Let's try not to waste it. If Neanderthals were still alive today, what kind of world would we live in? Drop your wildest theory in the comments.